podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to a new podcast, The Paddock and the Pavilion with Stephen Wallace. In each show, Stephen will interview someone connected to the world of horse racing or cricket.
Hello and welcome to The Paddock and the Pavilion. Last week we went down memory lane with Richard Pitman in Lambourn. Well, today we are at the home of racing, via Zoom of course, with Ilka Gansera-Leveque, the German trainer, the former apprentice jockey who is also a practicing vet. I talked to Ilka about her international journey, which included a spell working with the world-famous horse whisperer Monty Roberts in California, wins in her first two races as a trainer, and her connection with a Hollywood blockbuster movie. Take a listen to Ilka's drive and passion to become a successful top-level trainer. Enjoy today's podcast. Hello, Ilka. Welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion.
Hi, Stephen. Thanks so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
Well, thank you very much for coming on. How are you?
Good, hanging in there. Weathering the storm of COVID, I guess. But no, the weather is getting better. The days are getting longer. It's happy days now. We're over the worst.
What has it been like training for the last 12 months during the pandemic?
Oh, I think us in racing, we've been so lucky that our day-to-day routine hasn't changed very much. Of course, when it was the first lockdown and we couldn't go racing, that was a bummer. But like we're lucky that we got to stay in a routine, because not just horses like routines, like the humans do too. So I think we're very fortunate that we have an outside job. We're in the fresh air. Things in that respect, in that regard, haven't changed very much. Now let's just hope that the fans can come back to the races and the owners.
Yeah, hear to that. Have you been doing any homeschooling though?
Oh, homeschooling, yes. But we're very, very lucky. Our daughter is 10 already, and she loves going to school. So it's sad for the kids that enjoy going to school, and I feel really bad for all kids that, haven't been able to see their friends and do their usual stuff. Because like she's active, she plays tennis, she does gymnastics, all those things. They can't do that. But she loves school, and I mean, it's like people with smaller children or more than one child, when you're like having to you can't do everything at once. But with her, she's so self-motivated. Her alarm clock rings at 5 a.m. She goes down, she mucks out her pony. She does everything. Like she loves to learn. So we can't complain about that. But I think like that whole, when you think about it, like, she has a good hair. She has a dog. She has a pony. We're on the Hamilton Road in the fresh air. There's other kids, they live in the city. That's not good, like they're the victims of it all, I guess.
Sounds like she's a chip off the old block like you, with horses and studying.
I think she takes it a little bit, the horses, for granted. But like, yeah, she's pretty driven and ambitious and a hard worker, but she has to be.
Well, before we chat about your very international journey, you're a qualified vet. Is that advantageous, being a racehorse trainer with those skills?
Yeah, I think knowledge is power. So the more you know, the better it is. Of course, parts of training racehorses, I don't know, Henry Cecil said it was an art or whatever, but knowledge is the key. So if you're always like up to date on the newest developments of medicine and what there is, can only be a good thing.
I mean, does it allow you to spot when a horse is close to an injury or picking up an injury with your knowledge?
Yeah, but I think any good trainer, they have the schooled eye. Maybe just because they don't have a degree doesn't mean that they can't see something like that if you've been doing it long enough. But yeah, definitely. But, these racehorses are professionable athletes. So like there's always a fine line between fit and broken. So injuries happen in any sport. If you're going to go to the Olympics in rowing or whatever, like, you have to push the boundaries. And when you're doing that, it's not always avoidable.
Well, if we can take you back to your childhood, we haven't got to go back too far. How did you get into the horsey sort of bug? I mean, your mum was into dressage, but your father was a fighter pilot.
Yeah, I didn't have my pony already at the same age that my daughter got one, but because we moved around a lot from between Germany and the US every 3 years. So a little bit different than her. But yeah, through my parents were both racing fans. So we would go as a family to the races on a Sunday. And, you know, my mom was horsey. So I kind of had that already. I don't know. I just, ever since we went racing, I knew this is what I wanted to do. And
you moved about a bit because of your father's job, is that right?
Yeah, he was a fighter pilot in the German Air Force, and he flew starfighters, F-104s. So they do a lot of their training in Arizona, like over the desert. And he then ended up also being an instructor pilot for the Air Force. So it was always back and forth, 3 years here, 3 years Germany, 3 years America. Then later on, we also lived in California for a while.
And I had a tip from one of my friends who knows you well that your father was involved in the Tom Cruise film Top Gun.
Yeah, he was he flew. We watched it the other day. That was funny. We were doing movie night, and I thought, here, watch your granddad in the. So there's certain shots. If you really, anything that has a F-104 on there, anytime it's a starfighter, if you see one come in and out, that's part of it. And then certain flying scenes, he's flying either the cameraman or doing some of the maneuvers. But they mix the planes around quite a bit. So there's certain ones, it's like, oh, that's him over there.
So it really wasn't Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer up there then, no?
No, they were probably in the simulator.
Anyway, when did you first have a pony? How old were you?
12. I got an Arabian.
And when did you realize that you wanted to be a jockey?
5, I think. Kindergarten age.
Oh, as young as that, yeah?
Yeah.
And when did you start as an apprentice jockey? And can you remember your first ride?
15. Yeah, my first ride. Yeah, I know the name of the filly. It's a German name. It was in Germany anyway, yeah.
Yeah. And then
the first winner's name was Swatch Association. I don't really know what that means, but yeah, like Swatch, like the watch.
And your life seems to you moving about all the time. And a chance encounter with the famous Monty Roberts then led you to move to America. How did that come about?
Yeah, he was over in Germany when which was a stallion for a long time, Lomitas. I don't know if you've heard of him. He was the Derby favorite and he wouldn't load into the gates. So he came over and he worked with that horse. And then I ran into him at Baden-Baden. I was racing at Baden-Baden and I just started talking to him. And then he said, if you can teach me some German, I'll teach you everything I know about horses. And then I said, deal, that's a deal. So we shook hands. And then a few months later, I was on the plane to California. And I spent a year at Flag Is Up Farm in Solvang, California. So a little bit north of Santa Barbara. Very beautiful area.
That must have been a fantastic opportunity working with him.
Yeah, it was great. It's just like riding all day long. We'd get sent like either horses to break, remedial horses, any kind of breed really, but mainly most of the time it was thoroughbreds. But sometimes you'd get a bucker or some kind of, I don't know, Icelandic pony or something, some remedial horse with some issue. But it was, it's basically set up as a training and breeding, farm. Now he does a lot of I haven't been back in ages, but now it's more like you do courses there, I guess. But I was there when he wrote his first book. So that's a long time ago.
And then you came back to Germany to finish your apprenticeship, and then you went back to America to work with trainers again.
Yeah, then I worked mainly the New York circuit, so Belmont, Saratoga, did the winters in Florida, did one winter in New Orleans, Fairgrounds, and the spring in Kentucky. And, summer times were Saratoga, upstate New York. It's my favorite track.
Were you still riding when you were out there as well?
Yeah. So, I was riding. And then after a while, I was like assistant trainer. And but always riding also in the mornings, always riding work in the mornings.
And you must have got to see some major races when you were out there as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Kentucky Derby, Breeders' Cup, everything, yeah.
And then you decided, another change, to come back to Germany to be a vet. How did that come about?
I don't know. It was like 9/11 and that whole mess in New York. I don't know. I just thought I want to do something with my life and do something, give something back to the horses. And then I looked into ways of getting, trying to get into vet schools, whatever degrees I needed, because I left school so young. I started my apprenticeship when I was like 15 and a half. So I had to get some credits and, get some degree, stuff to be able to be eligible to get into vet school. So then I found, I figured out how I had to do it, how to go about it. And then I got accepted into the vet school of Hanover.
And
of course, I had to get the good grades for that. So, yeah.
How long does it take to qualify to be a vet?
It's the same as over here. What is it? It's 5-6 years. Yeah.
And
yeah. I mean, the school thing is different. I never get this here with the A levels, O levels, GCSE. It's a little bit different. The before you go into university in Germany, the school, but then like vet school is vet school. Yeah.
And during that time in 2008, you met your husband, Stefan, and that resulted in you eventually moving to Newmarket.
Yeah, Stefan and I met in Dubai. I did an internship or externship at the Dubai Equine Hospital, and he was working for Godolphin at the time. And because racing is such a small world, or the world is small anyway, but like we had mutual friends, which was pretty funny. One of his very best friend that worked in New York at the time I was friends with him. He was Stefan's best friend. So he was like, oh, when you're in Dubai, you need to, this guy will show you around, just like that. That's how it all started, all innocent. And then he couldn't get rid of me afterwards. So, and then he was working for Godolphin at the time, and that was 6 months Dubai, 6 months Newmarket. And then I was like, well, I'll come in. Once I graduated, I got a job at Rossdale's Equine Hospital. And because there was no point in making Stefan move to Germany or wherever. So it was just, I got traveling in my blood. So didn't, just packed up, came here.
And had you been to Newmarket before?
No, never. Yeah, it was a bit of a culture shock. But I mean, not Newmarket itself, but being used to growing up in America is still different. England is a little bit different, yeah.
And then you changed course again to become a racehorse trainer. I already had that plan that I was going to do that whether I met Stefan or not, or Newmarket or not. I had it already all planned while I was in vet school, that I was going to get my trainer's license out once I finished. So right. That wasn't to do with Newmarket really. It was just a matter of I wanted to learn more, get more under my belt. I mean, who knows? Maybe I would, if I wouldn't have met Stefan. I was actually working at a hospital in Munich, Equine Hospital in Munich, and I really enjoyed working there. It was a great team and a great boss. So maybe I just would have stuck there. But I always had that. I'd already looked into getting a license in Germany, because once that's racing for you. Like once that's in your blood, that's in your blood. That's like COVID positive. Once you've had it, you can't get rid of that virus. And then in Newmarket, you started by renting in 2012, is that right?
Yeah. We rented a few boxes, had 1 horse, 2 horses, 3 horses. Just really started from the bottom up.
But you made a fabulous start. I mean, your first 2 horses won both their first races.
Yeah, one first time out in Germany in a big sales race, and then the other one won 6 days later or something like that at Lingfield. Yeah,
this is Tosca, a filly.
Yeah, she won the sales race. Yeah.
You purchased this filly at the sales yourself, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We bought her as a yearling at the German sales, and then we were gonna pinhook her and sell her at the Breeze Up sales, but then we really, really liked her, and I was like, well, we can do this. We'll do this ourselves. We'll keep her for that sales race. And then she that was her first, that was her debut, and my debut as a trainer was pretty nice.
Yeah, it must have been special winning a race in Germany for you as well.
Yeah, and a big prize pot.
And the other horse was Tiger Cub, who won at Lingfield.
Yeah, just a little handicap, yeah.
And I read that in 2013 you had your first winner at Newmarket with Joe Sugden at 80-1, I see.
Yeah, we've had some big prize winners. Most of my horses always go off with big odds. Yeah, that was a special horse. That was a very special horse in my heart, yeah.
And then in May 2015, you purchased a new yard on the Hamilton Road at Newmarket, which was previously called Seven Springs.
Yeah, exactly. That Bill O'Gorman built this yard in 1990, and I think when he first purchased the land, it was like two plots of land. So when he built it so he could split it easily. And when he put it on the market, where we are now is what his main yard was. So we live above the yard, and he kept the other side. He has the mansion.
Oh, is that why the name got changed? Is he?
Well, the BHA said right away. I didn't know anything like that. We just bought it, and it was all Seven Springs. And then the BHA said, "Well, what are you going to name it? We need a name. We need a name." I said, "Oh my goodness! Like this is like naming your child. Like give me a few days to sort it out." And then we couldn't. And I said to Bill, "What the hell am I going to name this place? Because I like Seven Springs." And then he said, "Well, if you want to stay with the water theme." And I didn't, and I said, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, what are those Seven Springs?" I thought it was something out of the Bible because he goes to church like every day. And he said, "No, the Seven Springs are right along there, like pointed towards the A14 in those woods. And the main well of the Seven Springs is Saint Wendrid's Well, named after Saint Wendrid's, who was actually a woman, Wendrida. And she was the sister of Etheldrea, the woman that built Ely Cathedral." So I was like, bingo, that's the name we want to give it.
Well, I'm glad you said a bit about her, because I live here in March in Cambridgeshire, and the only church that is dedicated to St Wendrida's is here in March in Cambridgeshire.
Yeah, and I've never gone, and we always want to go. Are her legs in there, or what do you call that? The tomb is in there?
No, I don't think that's in there, but she's associated, I was looking this up this afternoon, with March, Ely and Exning, and there's some carved angels in the roof at the church. But such a coincidence that I'm here in March.
I went there once and the church was locked. I was like, let me in there, man, like, because we wanted to check it out.
Yeah, you must come over and have a look. You must come over and have a look now.
Yeah, so the Seven Springs do exist, and that was actually the Romans even hung out in the. Well, if you should come to the yard, and then I'll give you a tour of the yard the springs. But it's a little bit higher, so they had a good, viewpoint of the whole heath, and there's water there from those Seven Springs. And of course, then legend has it that Wendrida healed animals and people with the water of those Seven Springs. And I was like, this is the greatest name ever.
Yeah, I read that she was a healer. Yeah, but it must have been financially challenging when you first purchased the yard.
Well, Debbie was there for all that. Our mutual friend, Debbie Nichols, was there during the times when talking to the bank, how are we going to do this? How you did when you're figuring that out? I mean, it's like, I guess it's anytime you're getting on the housing ladder or something. It's pretty exciting times.
And how many boxes have you got there?
So we have 30 boxes. It's built as a square. That's what we have. Our own trotting ring, a menage. We have a 13-acre field during the summers right across the street from us that we lease from the jockey club, but we also have a paddock on site as well. And then we have the opportunity to swim horses right on the Hamilton Road. There's a public pool. So we have everything right on our doorstep. It's great.
And what's it been like training in Newmarket? Is Stefan the assistant trainer?
On the paper, yeah. He's down as the assistant trainer, but we do everything together, and we always see eye to eye on the training part. Sometimes other things we fight about, but I think when it has something to do with horses, we can read each other's minds, and we're a team. It's a teamwork. It's a teamwork regardless of anyway. Like you can't, unless you only have one horse. As soon as you start having a couple more horses, you got to have a good team around you.
I mean, you obviously love your job, but has it been tough? Training in Newmarket.
I guess racing is tough, period. But this is like, I love this. I mean, you don't love it when you're not winning or something like that. And there's always tough times, but it's my life. I mean, yeah, it's hard sometimes in the winter when the weather is bad or whatever like that. But
would Tosca's victory be your best result so far?
The biggest prize winner we've had a listed. Yeah, she made the most money because that's a sales race. The prize money is as good as a black type race, but it wasn't a black type race. So we've had a third in a listed race and a fifth in a Group 1, which is not like winning.
No, but is it your aim to have more horses at St Wendrida's?
Yeah, of course. It's all about more horses and better being able to participate at the top level as well.
And you've also set up a racing club. You were saying before.
Yeah, we just launched a racing club called Vantage Point Racing. We put one horse in there. She's our hurdler, and she's also going to go run in a handicap chase soon, novice handicap chase. Just Once is her name. There'll be more horses in that club pretty soon as well.
So is this for like syndicate ownership?
Yeah, so there's 3 different forms of ownership, or there's sole ownership, partnerships, syndicates, and racing clubs. And in a racing club, I don't know, there could be as many, it's not limited in numbers of people that can join. It's basically like a club. So it's like £20 a month. The club members don't have any equity in the horse, but you do, you have race day privileges, all these things, open days, meet and greet, whatever you want to call it, stable yard visits, all those things. So it's having an interest in the horse without having a leg in the horse, so to say.
Well, it sounds like a good idea to get more people involved in both watching and following the sport.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the syndicates have really taken off. They always say over the past in England, over the past couple of years, more and more popular. And racing clubs is just like a racing club is just a slightly different form of it. In a syndicate, you can buy 5% in the horse or 10% or whatever. And partnerships usually, well, there might be a majority partnership shareholder, but there are lesser members. And like a syndicate, you could, if it's all full of people with 5%, you could have a bunch of people. But the racing club makes it affordable, and you meet like-minded people that have the same interests as you. So it's great.
I think that's even more important now after what's happened to so many people financially in the last 12 months.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, we'll see tonight what he says. I mean, hopefully fans will be allowed back soon. So, I mean, at least there was racing. I thought it was a really eerie time when there was no sports on TV, you know? I was just like, oh my God, this isn't good. Not that we watch a lot of TV, like we don't, but like you always have the racing on in the background and stuff. And just like not to have any sports, that was the strangest feeling. You just knew something wasn't right, because they even raced during the Second World War here. And it's just like, wow, now they don't even race in Newmarket. But at least we're back up racing, and it'll get better now.
And I read you've made some comments, which a lot of other people have made, about the state of prize money in this country compared to other countries.
Compared to all other countries, yeah. I mean, maybe Germany not, but...
I mean, had you considered having horses run in France? Although it must be very difficult at the moment to do that.
Yeah, we've always had runners over there. It's made it, Brexit's made it that little bit more admin and a little bit more, to get all the paperwork ready. It's doable. It's not ideal, but you just have to jump through a couple more hoops. It makes it a slightly more expensive, because you got to have so much stuff in place. Before that was pretty simple, you just loaded that horse up, you booked your tunnel, and off you went. But what can you do? We'll get through it as well.
So, Ilka, we're on the Paddock and the Pavilion, which is a cricket and horse racing podcast. What do you know as a German about cricket?
Zilch. Sorry. Am I offending everybody now? I'm German, and that's my excuse. I know what offsides is in soccer, though, so...
Yeah, no, we're not a football podcast. We're a cricket podcast.
I just know that game goes on for days, and I don't get it.
Yeah, we can have a 5-day match, which can end in a draw.
That's crazy, man. Crazy.
Well, it's all your American upbringing there, because they don't like draws in America, do they?
No, they don't like a tie, no, that's for sure.
And the future, are you thinking about having more runners over the jumps as well?
Stefan used to ride over the jumps, but like I was never like a big racing fan, and then this filly kind of got me into it by default. I mean, I rode show jumping and stuff like that. So she was going into the starting stalls but not coming out, even though like she was just playing some mind games. And then I said, you know what, you play mind games on me, I'll play some mind games on you. And then I started taking her jumping. And then the next thing you know is she really loves it. And she's good at it. And then, I got another one that's going to be ready for a novice hurdle. I kind of like it. It's fun. It's fun. It's also really interesting to see when you got horses that enjoy it and like it. So it's good. I have a dual purpose license now. Who would have thought that? And now every time, I follow the jockey we used, Nick Schofield, when he was riding, I tell him, man, I can't believe this. I'm watching jump racing here. So who knows? The sky's the limit.
And on the flat, you obviously want to train more winners and train more high quality horses. How many horses have you got currently at St. Windreaders?
We have 17 in at the moment. So we got some empty boxes to fill, and we got a couple of unraced 3-year-olds that are ready to make their debut now. So it's exciting times ahead. Some nice babies here as well, 2-year-olds.
And you're looking forward to the new flat turf season, hopefully with some crowds.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see what, I don't know what's in the pipeline here, or, what they're saying, but I guess we'll all know more tonight after that announcement, huh?
And what about your daughter? Is she going to finish up getting involved in the business as well?
She can do whatever makes her happy, as long as she stays out of trouble. It would be nice, but I'm not thinking that far. Like right now, it's all about getting her back into the real school, and she does a lot of music. She plays the violin, piano, sings, whatever she wants to do. I think if you find something that you love, then you'll be good at it. Then you'll never work a day in your life. It's still hard work, but then it won't be like this 9-to-5 thing. And to be successful in anything you do, anybody you see, all those entrepreneurs, they all work like crazy. So you gotta be passionate and obsessed about what you do to be able to work like those crazy hours. Otherwise you're never going to make it. But I told her, no matter what she does, just remember, I want a private beach. So she started her own little business already during the lockdown. Do you know about that? No, nobody told you.
No. Well, I do and I don't really. Yeah.
She does. It's called Elea's Crafts. Well, I kind of helped her out, but she always liked doing. She was in that Steiner school before, like Rudolf Steiner, Waldorf school, and so they do a lot of crafts and they're outdoors a lot. So she was embroidering bags by hand, and then she had the idea of, I don't even know how that came about, but to sell horseshoes. So she sells lucky horseshoes, and she has an Etsy shop, and she's making money. I don't pay her an allowance. She has to work for it.
Oh, so she doesn't get pocket money. She actually earns it.
No, she does. I tell her, give me some of your money. And I keep saying private beach, house with a private beach.
Well, it sounds like your daughter, whose name is?
Ilya.
Is following the same sort of dreams that you've been doing. Thank you very much for being on the paddock and the pavilion, and the best of luck for this season.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Paddock and the Pavilion. You can download the show on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher and Spotify. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at The Pad and Pav.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.